Welcome to MILF.
I'm Courtney.
And I'm Jennifer.
And we are two moms into literary freedom. All right. Hello and welcome everyone to Moms into Literary Freedom. I'm flying solo on this special episode, and I'm so happy to be able to have the opportunity to interview Erin Baker, an AP social studies teacher from Oklahoma. Did I get that right?
That's pretty good. I don't spend all day teaching advanced placement, but 2 out of 6 classes. Yeah,
Okay, so 6 classes, 2 of them are advanced placement.
that's correct.
The other 4 are what? Like on
On
level
level.
social studies?
Yeah,
Okay.
I teach government all day, every day.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
lot of government.
Somebody's
I don't
got
know
to
if I
do
could do that. So I taught advanced placement biology. So we kind of have
Oh,
that,
wow.
Yeah, we got a little connection there. I taught advanced placement biology about I guess it was 10 years ago. And then I did, from there I did pretty much all kinds of science before transitioning into developing curriculum. But fun fact, I was technically fired for doing a study on. Oh, I also taught advanced placement environmental science for teaching a unit on food insecurity and
Okay.
gender inequality. And the reason that it the quote led to my termination, which it didn't really, is because you know the subject of gender fluidity came up in our classroom, and
Okay.
then like a 17-year-old boy got really offended and went home and told his dad, and then his dad called the school and demanded that I be fired. But here's the catch: I was 9 months pregnant, and I was already moving to a different state.
So it was not in Florida?
No, it wasn't Florida. I moved from Florida to California, and then I came back.
Got it. Was that DeSantis or pre-DeSantis?
Oh, this was pre-DeSantis. Yeah,
Okay.
so it was right at the beginning of like, the culture wars, and
Yeah.
it was before like book banning really took
Right.
its hold on Florida. So it was kind of weird, but I think the principal at the time was like, you know what, to the dad, he was like, you know what, we're firing her. She's not coming back, even though I had already put in my notice and I wasn't coming
Right.
back anyway. It was just the easiest thing for him to do because I really do think that parents are like the scariest thing to teachers and to administrators. And that's kind of like how we're in this situation in the first place is the whole parental choice and how parents are starting to like make decisions, based on at least in Florida anyway, like what we can do and say in class. But anyway, that's my story.
That's a very interesting story. I won't call it a great story, but
No, no. A little bit about your AP social studies. It's AP government. You already said that.
right.
And you got sent a MAGA Bible, is what I've been calling it. It's a but it's God Bless America Bible. Is that what it's called?
God bless the USA. Yeah. It was
Okay.
some sort of collaboration between Lee Greenwood and Donald Trump, from what I understand.
Oh, okay. So technically,
Yeah.
it's a MAGA Bible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think there will be more in the future.
Really?
Because I mean, this Bible is it's piecemeal. It's 5 minutes in a computer at a printer somewhere. Like
Wow.
there was not thought put into this Bible at all.
But
Um,
is he making money off of it? Do you know if Trump is like is it like his merchandise?
I mean, he was pushing it. He was pushing it when it first came out.
Okay.
And I think I can't verify for sure, but I feel like he was behind some of the production. And
Okay.
and when I say it's piecemeal, like literally, it's just a King James Bible with extra pages in the back.
Wow.
There's it didn't take anyone any editorial time. It's there are Bibles that are really intensive where you like have commentary in the margins. There are
Like study Bibles.
study Bibles,
Right.
exactly. So I think eventually there'll be. I mean, this. I don't. I wish this wasn't true, but prophetically, I do feel like we're going to have a Christian nationalist study Bible within the next 2 years,
See,
and
that's what
it'll.
my next question was going to ask was now that, Ryan Walters has stepped down, like how is this Bible thing going to keep going? Like, are they going to keep pushing Bibles to be in every school, or has every school in Oklahoma received a Bible, or is it just a few so far?
No, they've only gone out to AP U.S. government teachers.
Oh, okay, okay.
So you, that's only 12th grade. Um, Many high schools don't offer it. And if they do offer it, there's going to be one teacher teaching it, and there might be one class or perhaps two sections the way I do at my school. And that's why I received two Bibles. So we're
Okay.
talking about a very small percentage of Oklahoma schools that actually have one. And that's
Uh-huh.
why like everyone like wants to see it.
Yeah, because
Like,
you kind of like went you went viral on TikTok.
yeah, yeah. And
Tell me
I've,
about
I've,
that. What's that like?
well, I've been pretty busy.
Yeah?
Um, a lot of local media the couple days afterward, and live on ABC on Saturday, and here with you now. Um,
Cool.
I haven't. I'm not much of a comment person, and the it's just too much. It's too much. So I kind of put it away. Cannot keep up with the comments on that particular video, and can't
Oh
even
yeah.
keep up with the requests. There's so many media requests, not for interviews,
Uh-huh.
which I'm kind of like glad to do,
Okay.
but people just like send me pictures, send me pictures. I'm like, I'm not really,
No,
I'm not
that's
really
not.
excited about that.
Yeah, no, that's different. Yeah, like talking about like I'm more interested in your experience as a teacher. Like I feel like this is so like relevant and important to talk about. So I'm just first of all so happy that you agreed to talk to me about this. And but also like I think it's awesome that you're speaking out about it. You know, like you're using I mean you're using your voice and you're turning it in I think, you know, to activism because knowledge really is power here. And I think I just watched your most recent reel on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and
Okay.
you were talking about, you know, um, the people are going to have to vote for someone else, right? Someone better.
Right.
And this is Oklahoma's opportunity to put someone better, you know, in that seat. And I think, you know, your voice is going to really have an impact on who that is. Because you kind of you opened up this can of worms, you started talking about it. You got the whole country talking about these Bibles in Oklahoma. Whereas I feel like states had no idea that this was happening, and now a lot more people know.
Yeah. Ryan Walters' term doesn't end until January of 27.
Oh wow.
And so we're not even, we're going to hold the election in November of 26.
Okay.
So our governor is probably in the days or perhaps weeks ahead of us going to be appointing someone to fill that spot until the election. It might be
Mm,
someone that wants to run for that spot next year. It might be someone that just wants to sit in it for a while and kind of
right.
be that placeholder. But a lot of people are afraid. I'm not really afraid. I don't see Ryan Walters is like a perfect confluence of hatred,
Mm-hmm.
corruption,
Mm-hmm.
and so many other things that it's kind of like Trump in the sense that we I think people will try to replicate it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem likely that someone can be
Right.
someone can
Well,
be that
hey,
hateful
careful
and
what you say. You'd be surprised because as someone who lives in the state of Florida with DeSantis and now Stasi Kamutz, he's basically, you know, the equivalent to your superintendent. Like we don't
okay,
call it a superintendent, we call it the commissioner of education or something like that. And they're not elected; they're appointed. So DeSantis appointed this guy like back in June, and he's been threatening teachers. He's actually been behind a few terminations of teachers with like who set made comments about Charlie Kirk. There was a teacher just recently in the county north of me that was put on leave for making a comment on social media, not about Charlie Kirk, but about her city council's decision to defund DEI in the county. It had nothing to do with school, but our commissioner of education decided to put her on leave because she made a comment on social media that he didn't like. He's like Ryan Walters. I'm not going to say he's worse because I don't think he was caught watching porn on TV during a meeting, but he's pretty bad.
what we've been dealing with in Oklahoma, and it's been a benefit. So I don't know how this is different in Florida, but Ryan Walters has targeted multiple teachers, but his power was limited to our certifications.
Okay.
I'm employed at the local level, and so I'm hired and fired by a local district, and
Oh, great.
I can't technically be fired by an elected position like the state superintendent.
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's different here in Florida, but that's so interesting to like hear how it's done in different states.
yeah, and he's targeted women. He's targeted teachers of color. And
Hmm.
every time it happens, I've sort of been in the margins on, uh, terrible places like Twitter X, just
Hmm.
saying, hey, like, hey, look at me. Why don't you come out after this, like, cis hetero white guy?
Right. And why don't
Crickets.
they? I mean, I don't want them to go after you. I hope that you don't lose your job, but that's a good point that you bring up.
It
Yeah.
doesn't fit their narrative.
Yeah. So let's pivot back to the Bible because I just find it so ironic because being a fellow AP teacher, it's kind of it's a different level where you have like these deep conversations with students, and the fact that you received a MAGA Bible that has the Constitution in the back that's missing very important parts to the Constitution, that must have spurred some conversations in your AP government class about what's going on.
I
Did
think it
it?
would have if I'd
Yeah.
have told them about it.
Oh, you haven't told them about it. Okay, okay. Do you plan on telling them about it?
Well, I mean, some of them have seen my video,
I would that was
um,
my next question.
but that's just a conversation of, hey, that's something I did in my private time, and
Okay.
this is not the space for that. So it really is. I talk about like wearing different hats.
Hmm.
And so I've got my advocacy hat on right now, and I can talk about teaching.
Hmm.
But when I go to school, I take that off,
Hmm.
and keep things kind of separate. But it's set on my shelf. It's been sitting on my shelf since March,
Wow.
um, and it's really quite odd. And I think you'll connect with this since you've got experience with AP and College Board. It's odd for a state superintendent to send that Bible into a classroom over which he has zero control.
Right.
So we've got state standards, and I'm assuming it works similar in every state.
Yeah.
The state standards run through the executive departments of education.
Hmm.
It ran through his department, but the state standards do not apply in an AP course.
Hmm.
We follow the AP
College board.
curriculum. We follow
Yeah.
College Board. We're preparing for that exam. So he's sending this Bible in, and it's like,
And
why,
it only got sent to AP classes.
why
That's
this class exactly?
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
just goes to show how little he actually knows. Because like if he knew that, he maybe would have chosen to send them to like a different class. I mean, I'm just trying to like understand his thought process, which is
Well,
hard to do when
he
someone's not
does
really
know.
using a thought process, right?
He taught AP too, so he
Oh,
knows
really?
he knows exactly what's going on. Yeah,
Huh. That's interesting. It could have
yeah,
been a budget thing, like, hey, we don't have that much money, so we're gonna pick the one class, the class where there's like as few sections as possible.
no, that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
He overpromises, and I use the word promise, in quotation marks because they're really threats instead of promises. We're going to
Yep.
have a Bible in every classroom. Every school is going to have a moment of silence. He tries to he did this a dozen times or more. These like outlandish
Hmm.
mandates that he did not have any power
Hmm.
to see it through, and he would make these claims, and when they didn't happen, he just acted like it's no big deal,
Hmm.
and it just
On to the
became,
next thing.
yeah, it's just about media attention, and it became every classroom, and then it just kept getting whittled down and whittled down, and he really couldn't. It's not only that he didn't have the money; it was like you can't use this is not a proper use of public funds.
Hmm.
So I'm pretty sure the Bibles that I have like were privately funded and then like sent through his department.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So, what about PragerU? Is that a lot? Is that part of like the curriculum that can be used in Oklahoma? Because it can be used in Florida.
right. It can be used
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Right. And I've already made sure to send messages to the schools where my children go, along with many other parents who've said we do not, as parental choice, being Florida is the state of parental choice, like we do
Right.
not want PragerU to be used as curriculum for our students.
Right. And
So,
I've said it so many times. Um, when folks are asking me, "Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? And what concerns you?" It's like, don't worry about me.
mhm.
I've been doing this long enough. I know how to navigate difficult standards. I know how to like ignore PragerU emails. It's no big deal.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
There are teachers out there that don't.
there are teachers out there that don't. And
Hmm.
and yeah, it's sad to know that the permission is enough. I don't think it's widespread in Oklahoma, but I do
Okay.
think that PragerU is more than likely being used in some schools, perhaps
Hmm.
in rural Oklahoma, and these Bibles perhaps are being used on a regular basis,
How would a Bible be used in US government?
right?
You don't have an answer to that. I mean, is that why they put the Constitution in the back? Because they're like, oh, we're gonna just slip this Constitution, and that's how the teachers can use it. Like, and while we're on the subject, like, let's talk about the three-fifths compromise and the missing amendments.
Okay. Um, yeah, started looking through it, kind of passing it around to colleagues. It's kind of a novelty, right?
Yeah, you're like, wow,
Um,
look at this.
yeah, I mean, it is nice leather.
Do you think it's
My
real leather though?
I think so.
Wow. Okay.
My 8-year-old preacher's kid self would have been pretty impressed with it. I'd have carried it around proudly. But when we were kids, they always had maps of Galilee in the back, and we'd open the full color maps and be like, "This is where Jesus lived," or whatever.
Right. Right.
That's where the Constitution is.
Uh-huh.
And they made some interesting choices. They've got Lee Greenwood's like handwriting
I
of
saw
"God Bless
that.
the USA." Then it goes straight to the Constitution, and it's got every signer of the Constitution, which is like that was an editorial choice too. You
Uh-huh.
don't need that.
Yeah.
It's not part of the Constitution. You've got 13 states and all their delegates that
Right.
signed. Yeah,
Because that would take up like a lot of space, right?
it's a full page,
Yeah.
and so is the Declaration of Independence and the signers of the Declaration of Independence.
Right. So let's just pretend like we don't even know what the three-fifths compromise is, because you got to explain it to us like we're
Okay.
not an AP government, and why it's
Well, yeah.
important that it was left out.
So we're in 1787, right? And
Hmm.
they're going to meet together to fix some mistakes in the government under the Articles of Confederation. And they had created a really weak form of government, and they did that on purpose because they didn't want to repeat the mistakes of like British colonialism.
Uh-huh.
Um, so they meet together to revise, but they end up scrapping the articles and starting over. And what they start over with, the result is the Constitution. And so they're taking all of these different ideas. There's all kinds of forms of government that they're borrowing from. And yes, they're like rejecting monarchy,
Hmm.
but they're also like using elements of monarchy, and they're writing the Constitution and thinking about the executive branch, thinking about the roles and powers of the president in Article 2, and they're borrowing from things that the king can do in
Mm.
England,
Oh,
and
okay.
they're borrowing from Parliament. They take the things that they like
Mm.
and leave the things that they don't like.
Okay.
So the Articles of Confederation had one legislative body, and they come up with this idea in the new Constitution to have a bicameral legislature where they have a House and a Senate. And we know that the Senate is not based on population. Everyone gets equal representation.
Right.
And what's baked into that is the idea of elitism. I think a lot of people don't know this. The
Hmm.
Senate is intentionally for elite
Hmm.
people to be elected to.
I didn't
It's
know
not
that.
it's not supposed to be something that like everyday people can attain to,
Okay.
because it's there's fewer,
Right.
and it's just you know
Supposed to be like
in
the cream of the crop.
well, I mean, in England they literally have a House of Lords and a House
Oh,
of Commons.
okay.
Is that making
Oh,
sense, right?
yeah. So the
So there's
Senate
a
is the
sense.
Lords.
That's right. there's
Okay.
there's there's some relationship there. So
Okay.
then they get, and that's simple enough, right? Equal
Mm.
representation. But they get to the House and they're like, okay, we want it to be about population, but what are we going to do? Who are we going to count?
Okay.
And already slavery is being debated.
Okay.
in terms of what is the future of slavery going to hold. And there are states that are starting to push back, and starting to think about, eventual abolition all across this new nation.
Right.
And then, of course, the states in the South. But, there are lots of states who are like, we need this institution. So in a weird twist, because of representation in the House, states who are interested in perpetuating slavery want to count enslaved African Americans toward population.
Okay.
And states where there is less energy for the future of slavery do not want to count any enslaved African Americans toward population. So it's like it's this weird, like, twist of fate, and both options are like racist.
Uh-huh. I
But
know. I was just gonna say they both sound terrible.
yeah, they're both really, really terrible.
Mhm.
And what they come up with is this idea that, okay, we're in this document that we're creating for this nation, we're going to say that enslaved African Americans are worth 60% of everyone else. Or we're going to count 3 of every 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
The 3/5 compromise.
the 3/5 compromise. And so that's power for states,
Mm-hmm.
for pro-slavery states, but not as much
Gotcha.
as full representation.
Gotcha.
And when they wrote it in, it says, you count every free person. You don't count Indians who are not taxed.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says 3/5 of all other persons.
It says all other persons?
All other persons.
Huh. Okay.
So slavery, the word slavery is not in the articles of the Constitution.
Right.
We're not
Okay.
going to see the word slavery until the 13th Amendment.
God, which is not in there.
Which is not in there. So in other words, it kind of twists your mind around. It's like, are they erasing slavery completely,
What are they doing?
or are they leaving it in completely?
What do you think they're doing? You tell me.
It's a combination of things. I think leaving out those amendments is egregious,
Uh-huh.
but then providing zero commentary in the original Constitution is more egregious. You put them two together, and that's where you get this, like, nefarious. I don't want to use conspiracy theory because
Right.
it doesn't seem like
Nefarious intent.
Yeah, I mean, it's very blatant. It's very out in the open.
Right. And it wasn't an accident. You don't think?
It can't be. It can't
Right.
be. I mean, if we were to pull up, the top 10 Google choices right now, the 3/5 compromise is going to be in another font, a different color. It's going to have asterisks, footnotes. Something is going to tell you, wait a second, this is different.
Uh-huh.
This is different from what came right before it and what comes right after it. And it's probably going to explain off to the side or down at the bottom, like, hey, this piece has been altered by the 13th and really the 14th Amendment as well.
Wow. So it's almost as if we went back in time. We got a time machine. We went back in time and took that Constitution and then just put it in this MAGA Bible.
So, when ABC interviewed me on Saturday, they reached out to the publishers, and the publishers literally said, like, we were providing the authentic Constitution in 1787. That's bullshit for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
Number one, the Bill of Rights wasn't ratified in 1787.
Yeah.
It's going to take a couple years.
Lie number one.
Right. It's going to take a couple years to get the Bill of Rights. So they didn't really provide the original Constitution. And besides, why are we interested in that at all?
I don't know. Yeah. It's not relevant.
I was looking up today. I think what might help people understand is thinking about the American flag.
Mm-hmm.
The Constitution has been changed many, many times. Guess what else has been changed many times? The American flag. Mm-hmm. The stripes and the stars, they've all been updated as needed. Mm-hmm. So to me, the way they presented these documents in the back of this Bible, it'd be like, the Oklahoma Capitol flying an American flag with 48 stars.
Yeah.
Or just with the 13. Let's just make
Right.
it original. Let's do 13 stars in a circle because,
Hmm.
why would we care? We care about the original flag. Why would we care
Right.
about anything since?
Yeah, it definitely seems very fishy. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It makes me wonder, is this like one of those like are they like testing the waters to see what the public reaction is to this? Is this sort of like, are they like grooming us to try and like, erase history? And just is this just like a baby step of like more baby steps to come? Is kind of what it feels like.
It does. And I mean, I have this thought, and I don't know that I've it fully fleshed out, but our books are important. Y'all talk about books all the time. Books are
Yeah,
important.
I'm a book nerd.
Yeah, they live on.
Yeah,
Um, Paper, like actual physical paper books are
right.
going to live on.
Uh-huh.
People are going to lose files. We've been dealing with our social studies standards in Oklahoma, and I haven't been too bent up about it because it's just a series of files.
Right.
Like they're not going to be preserved in perpetuity on paper anywhere, honestly.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, when we're going through all of our standard stuff, what concerns me is when the textbooks
Right.
start reflecting the Christian nationalist standards.
That's so
Those are
scary.
artifacts that you could find in a capsule someday,
Right.
and that's my fear with this Bible is like in 100 years it'd be like, look, you know, slavery was never a part of
Hmm.
United States history because this Bible doesn't
Hmm.
say anything about slavery.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a scary thought, but that makes sense. I get where you're coming from on that. And but also too that Walters was similar to DeSantis, um, here in Florida, is like trying to do everything that he can to like be as MAGA as possible. So it's like just one MAGA idea after another, it seems like,
We're grateful because it was very clear to everyone that Ryan Walters, did want to be governor, but that's not really in the cards right now at all, and we're grateful
Right.
for that.
Yeah. Well, I really hope that, whoever replaces Ryan Walters can turn it around because isn't Oklahoma like near the bottom? I'm sure Florida's down there with Oklahoma in terms of like student, achievement or test scores, if anything.
Right, we went from 49 to 50th,
Oh,
but I typically put little stock in it, to be honest.
right. I know. So as a teacher too, it's not something, and it's hard to tell as like one teacher in one school in the whole state too, especially if you are clearly a very good teacher. Do you guys still have AP African American history?
It was kind of a trial run, I think in 22, 23, because it's still a relatively new course.
Yeah.
College Board just has rolled it out, since the pandemic. And I don't know of a high school in Oklahoma that is offering it. It's on my radar to offer it personally. Like
You
that's a,
should do
a
that.
goal of mine.
Florida, we're not, it's, I think in the past anyway, this has been the case, but I know that some things have changed recently, like this summer. But, in 2022, 23, it wasn't allowed to be taught in Florida because of the Stop Woke Act.
Yeah.
And I know recently the Stop Woke Act has changed. So a lot of these books that have had to be removed from schools and classrooms because they were, quote, woke or whatever, are starting to hopefully get put back into the classrooms because the judge ruled that, that was unconstitutional. But I think in this case, as long as DeSantis and this education commissioner are still in office, like Florida's not making any progress in terms of being woke.
We've been fairly lucky about books in Oklahoma. I think the book banning movement overall has not been very successful at the legislative level or even from really the governor's office. We don't have a lot to be thankful for from our governor, but
Right.
sometimes I see, the people that DeSantis appoints or the things that DeSantis does himself, and I'm like, well, okay, like Kevin
Right.
Stitt hasn't done quite that exactly.
Yeah.
So
Right. I know. I feel like it's either if it's not Florida, it's Texas too. And then Oklahoma started getting in there too. And I was like, okay. It's like a three-way tie between these ridiculous things that you see in the news. But
Yeah,
um,
our governor handpicked Ryan Walters. So it's really going to be interesting to see, who he picks next.
right.
If he essentially makes the same mistake again, and we certainly hope he doesn't.
And I saw that you put that video out today about encouraging
Right.
him to make the right. So like what aside from that, like what can people do, not just in Oklahoma, like anywhere where they feel like injustices are being served or happening in terms of book banning or having PragerU in their kids' classrooms? Like what can we do? What do you think we should do as parents?
It's a really interesting question because I am not a proponent of school choice.
Hmm.
I believe in a quality public school for every student in every part of a city, every corner of the state. If we invest in our schools, then we don't need choice. We just make
Right,
every school great. But in a weird way, I mean, that's what I do as a teacher, and that's what I encourage parents to do if they have the opportunity. Um, I make career choices based on the politics of the community. To be honest,
okay,
I know that I know places around central Oklahoma where I would not last,
okay,
and
that
so
makes sense.
I just stay away from those districts and those schools.
Hmm.
I don't harbor any ill feelings, and I'm not naming any.
Right,
But you can take a look around and be like, okay, that's a school where there's going to be some moms for liberty,
right,
in that school, and perhaps in my classroom, I'm going to have some of those kids,
right.
and that's for me, that's a recipe for disaster.
Right. I feel like I always joke with my husband that like if I had stayed in the classroom, I would have been fired 10 more times. But, to be clear, it was my choice to leave and to transition into writing curriculum, which I love doing. And anytime I can slip, social justice into the science curriculum that I write, I do. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have been fired several times because of the Moms for Liberty that are in our area. But one last question for you before I let you go. Um, if a student were to, since you said the Bible is it's on display in your classroom, correct?
Yeah,
If you happen to be talking about the Constitution or the Three-Fifths Compromise and a student asks a question about that Bible and what it means for the future of their country, like what would you say to that student?
that's good because if, as I mentioned, I'm not going to engage with the student over content that I provided on my own time.
Right.
But the way you frame that is quite different. We're talking about course content.
Hmm.
If they've gathered information about that Bible, even if it's from me, if we're not addressing the fact that, hey, this is something I said, we're just talking about the facts. I wouldn't mind
Hmm.
pulling out the Bible, and we could have a very factual exchange. And all the things I told you about the history of the Constitution are things
Hmm.
that I'm comfortable saying to an AP class or an on level class
Hmm.
about how we got the Constitution, what is the proper way for it to be displayed in 2025,
Right.
the important context of those pieces of the original articles that have been altered by subsequent amendments.
Hmm.
Those are all things that any government teacher should feel very comfortable telling their students.
Right. Yeah, and I can tell you're an awesome teacher and your students are truly lucky to have you to be able to engage in like that Socratic method with the students. So you're sort of asking those questions and they're thinking about it in their head and they're kind of hopefully putting two and two together here so that the next generation can go on to right some wrongs.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's always been funny to me to be charged with indoctrination from
Right.
someone like Ryan Walters because that's the last thing that I'm doing. In fact, I push against it to a fault. I'm just
Yeah.
constantly pushing students to form their own opinions.
Good. That's what good teachers do, and so
Yeah,
many people don't realize that. It's the most egregious case of hypocrisy that I have ever seen, especially here in Florida, is the Moms for Liberty and the indoctrination. And we're grooming students by letting them read the books that actually feature characters that look like them or have family members that align with their views,
I've
right?
never shied away from having certain titles in my classroom library. Um,
Well, you're lucky there because Florida teachers will get fired if they do. So,
yeah, I don't raise a big stink about it, and I don't loan out a ton of books
mhm,
because it's very hard to get students to read. I have
right.
shifted. I've shifted in the last year or so. I don't teach literature, but I'm reading all the time.
Okay.
I'm a kind of a new reader, to be honest.
Yeah.
I sort of resisted fiction for the greater part of my life,
Uh-huh.
and then last year, a couple of years ago, I went on a trip and left my phone in my wife's car,
Oh gosh.
and all I could do was read, and I haven't stopped since.
That's awesome.
So I read I read 90% fiction, and I'll throw in one nonfiction every 10 books.
Okay, what about historical fiction? That's my favorite genre.
Uh, I do. I mean, I read James, which is a
Hmm.
retelling of Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer,
Okay,
that kind of stuff.
cool.
That's a really incredible book. Um, and I'm connecting with students at school who are already reading. I'm
Okay.
finding that that is like a key thing that we
Mm,
can do.
yeah.
Since I don't teach literature, I don't have to like cajole my students into
Right.
reading.
Hmm.
Like that's just it's an uphill battle. I'm not really
Hmm.
interested in that. But I'm
Hmm.
constantly looking for students who are reading
Hmm.
and being like, "Hey, let's read that together," or "Hey, can I borrow that after you read it?" And so
Hmm.
we swap
Oh,
books.
that's so cool.
We have book clubs at school,
I
and
love
I
that.
hope that's really something that can be replicated in other places.
I saw a pretty sad study recently that showed that obviously kids are reading less, right? Since in the past 10 or so years because of cell phones, I'm sure. But in Florida and lots of other places, cell phones are starting to be banned, right? In school, which I'd rather them ban cell phones than books, right? But as a
Right?
result, students have started to read more. So I think,
They
hey, that's
have.
that's good, right?
They have, and I was
Hmm.
kind of apprehensive about the success of our cell phone ban in Oklahoma. But I kind of do think our legislature kind of screwed around and actually did something right for once.
I know. I kind of felt like that too. I was like, "Oh no, is this going to be terrible or good?" And I think honestly, it's so far. I think it's great.
Yeah,
But speaking of,
they're reading more. I bring in the newspaper from the Daily Oklahoman.
mhm.
I have students at our tables reading the comics,
Oh, those are
doing
the
the word
best.
search and the crossword
Yeah.
puzzles.
Oh
It's
yeah,
great.
because it's like it's so old school too. Like my
Yeah,
daughter loves the comics because it's like reading the paper with it's like you're in a you went back in time. It's fun though.
exactly.
But hey, speaking of historical fiction, we are actually having our own book club a week from today at 6 p.m. Eastern time with the author Ashley Hope Perez. She wrote Out of Darkness, which is a
Okay.
historical fiction about the 1937 New London school explosion. I don't know if you've heard of that
Oh
before,
wow. Okay.
but it's sort of like a forbidden love story between a black boy and a Mexican girl. And this, it's set in the time where this explosion happens, and it really addresses lots of themes like racism in the 1930s. And it is just such a wonderful book. And I'm super excited that the author will be able to sit and talk with
Oh
whoever
wow.
joins this book club. So I just wanted to throw that out there for listeners. And also, if you wanted to join, it's actually being held through Defense of Democracy. So all the donations that we raise for, during this book club is going straight towards Defense of Democracy, which has a chapter in every state. So check out Oklahoma's if you haven't already. And they do lots of stuff, such as, fighting against book bans to help defend our democracy. So
I
look
am
into that.
familiar with defensive democracy. That sounds
Cool.
great.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much, Aaron. Those listening, follow Aaron Baker on TikTok or Instagram. His handle is Aaron Baker Left. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
left-handed.
Oh, I was
It
wondering what
it might
that
be a wink to
meant.
politics, but I am left-handed.
You know what? That's your story and you're sticking to
Right. So,
it. Well, thank you, Aaron. And those listening, remember, don't ban books, ban bigots.
thanks, Courtney.
This episode has been engineered and mixed by your hosts, Jennifer and Courtney.
You can listen to the Milf for Books podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, or literally any podcast app you want.
Check out our Milf for Books YouTube page. That's MILF, 4, Books. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Follow the show on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and Blue Sky at Milf for Books. Again, that's MILF, 4, Books. But follow us on TikTok at Moms Into Literary Freedom.